What's going on, folks? Zach from Uchuu Shelf here. Hope you guys are doing good and reading lots of manga. It's been a while, not only since I've sat down, but since I've sat down to talk to you guys out there about manga. And I wanted to kick things off this year by focusing on last year, because what's cooler than dwelling on the past? So what I thought we'd do is dive into my favorite manga of 2024, but also dive into the manga that I absolutely despised. And I mean manga that if I could go back in time and be like, hey, just don't bother, I would in a heartbeat. So just to get all the negativity out of the way, let's get the 4 worst manga that I read in 2024 just out of the way. The 4th worst manga that I read in 2024 was Dear Anemone. I don't know if this is a growing trend, but plant-based dystopian manga seems to be hitting all the right spots for me. I really liked Full Night, really loved Full Night. What am I talking about? Wild Strawberry I liked at the beginning. I think it kind of fell off a little bit. So when Dear Anemone came along, I was like, oh great, another manga that I had to keep up with. And let me just tell you, there is a reason why that shit got axed. I don't know if this is just a thing with Jump Plus manga, but the story was all over the place. It had a great concept that I don't think it fully utilized. The art, don't get me wrong, fantastic, just stunning work. And I think it was about 17 chapters before that manga got axed, and I think it didn't even spend 2 of them trying to find its footing. Like, you kind of trotted along, it was all over the place, and then you could tell when it was going to get axed, because the last few chapters, it kind of just crammed everything together. Which was a shame, because I really wanted to like that manga, but I gave it a try, and then I read it again after it got axed, and I couldn't do it. The 3rd worst manga I read of 2024 was Shadow Eliminators. And I mean, does Shonen Jump need another battle exorcist manga? Yeah, but he was not that guy. Now, I gave it a few chapters, I gave it the old college try, but when you've been reading manga as long as me, you can kind of get a vibe, especially with Shonen Jump manga, that this isn't gonna last. And I'd say by about chapter 5, I thought, you know what, I'm not feeling it, I don't know if this is gonna go anywhere, and I didn't really want to stick around and wait to see if it got better. I try to give things the benefit of the doubt, but I've had my heart broken with Shonen Jump many times. Now, the next one might shock a few people because I'm a huge Inio Asano fan, but the 2nd worst manga I read of last year was Mujina Into the Deep. Now, some of you might remember that I did actually review Mujina Into the Deep. I don't know if it was last year or the year before. Time is a construct that has just eluded me entirely. And I reviewed that after maybe 4 or 5 chapters were out, and I got a lot of crap for that. People saying like, only a few chapters are out. What is this guy talking about? How can you judge something only based on a few chapters? And I thought, okay, fair dues, I'll give it an honest try. So I gave it a year, I let more chapters come out, and then I caught up on everything in one go, and whew, what a bad manga. Which is a shame, because I love Inio Asano. I have everything he's ever put out. I've permanently branded myself with a pun tattoo, but for the life of me, and I want to like it, I really do, because I love Inio Asano's work. The art in this manga is great, and the story does have a bit of intrigue to it. There's parts of it that do drag me in, but on the whole, I gotta tell you guys, this manga fucking sucks. And I probably will continue to try to revisit it and try to like it, and I don't know why I do that to myself. And I think Inio Asano saw all the success with that, and he thought, all right, let me try to make like another one. But I don't know, it's just awful. Like, it feels like it's a parody of the genre it's actually trying to be serious in, which is like a grimdark, psychological, social issues kind of battle manga. And I'm trying to like do all the mental gymnastics, like maybe it's supposed to be a parody or like a deconstruction, but it's just fucking gross. Like, I'm pulling up a panel now and I'll put it in the video, but I'm gonna read this verbatim. Damn, the last time we went at it, you planted a GPS in my pussy, didn't you? It made me real mad to be surveilled on the sly. Haha. That was quick. Sometimes it gets flushed out when a girl gets her period. Now, maybe when I was 15 years old, I would have read that and thought, this is mature. This is mature for mature manga readers like myself. And now that I'm the ripe old age of 30, whatever the fuck I am now, it's just, I hate it. It's stupid, it's bad. And if it gets better, great. I'm happy to be proved wrong, but ugh. The worst manga I read in 2024, bar none, without even a shred of hesitation, is Drama Queen. Drama Queen, I think, is an interesting manga that is ruined immediately by the concept foreigners bad. And I got into a lot of bad faith arguments on multiple social media platforms about it, but I don't see it any other way. A lot of people have argued that this is a story about colonization, which might be true if your idea of colonization is people from other countries moving to your country. Now, the basic concept of Drama Queen is that aliens come to Earth, and instead of invading, they give their technology and they help out every way they can to kind of make everything better for humans, and then they start integrating themselves in human society. And unlike, for example, District 9, where they take all the aliens and they shove them into these slums, the aliens kind of integrate themselves with the rest of society. They get jobs, and they live in the same neighborhoods, and they have the same hobbies and everything else. Now, my immediate reaction to reading some of these panels, and I'm going to put some up on the screen and read them with you in a moment, was that, like, I heard racists and xenophobes say this exact shit about entire swords of people. I don't know what you're saying. How are you the boss when you can't even speak this planet's language? But I'd probably be in trouble if I said that. It's all rotten. The whole world can turn to filth for all I care. I can't forgive them for trashing my home. And while I will admit that my reaction was based on the first chapter, I thought, okay, people are saying it's going to be a colonization story, why don't I just wait it out and see? And I think there's, like 7 or 8 chapters out, and it's only getting progressively worse. And it's just full of crap like, oh, these aliens don't speak our language. Oh, these aliens smell bad. It's just stuff like that. It's just really dumb and lazy. And the only thing I can really take solace in is that it's a Jump Plus manga. It probably won't be here in another month or 2. So runners-up manga that I really enjoyed last year but didn't quite make the top cut. Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity. I am not by any stretch of the imagination a romance guy, but I love this. I'm going to keep reading this. I was on my stomach kicking my feet. Sue me. Leviathan, which is put out by a new publisher, Kana, which is a French publisher, which is now in English. It's all confusing. I don't know the business that well. But I've always wanted to read this because I've seen pages and panels posted throughout the internet, and I thought, maybe I'll just buy it in French, and then I heard it was coming out in English. Immediate pre-order. So if you're into sci-fi, horror, things like that, definitely pick this up. Innocent, because I absolutely adore brutally violent historical fiction, and I also feel incredibly lucky to be alive at the same time as someone who draws as well as Shinichi Sakamoto. And honestly, I never thought we would see any of his works, much less Innocent, outside of Japan, so thank you, Dark Horse. And the GOAT, Kagurabachi. Thought it was a meme at first, read it all. My favorite thing in Shonen Jump right now, bar none. So with all of that out of the way, let us dive into my 4 favorite manga of 2024. So the first of my favorites of last year is Search and Destroy by Atsushi Kaneko, which is a dystopian future retelling of Osamu Tezuka's Dororo. Now already that concept ticking all the right boxes for me. Now Search and Destroy is awesome for a myriad of reasons. There's not just one that sticks out to me. It is like the perfect retelling of Dororo, yet it somehow still makes it its own thing. But beyond it being just a fantastic manga, I selfishly bought this for 2 more reasons. One is because I wanted to support Manga Splaining, which is one of the best manga podcasts out there. If you haven't listened to it, just go check them out and support them. And 2, because one of my favorite mangaka is Atsushi Kaneko, and he is severely, and I mean severely, underrepresented in the English manga space. And I'm hoping that buying Search and Destroy and supporting this will show publishers, hey, English readers want more of him. And then I can read one of my favorite new top 10s in English. I'll make a video on this though, so stay tuned for that. Next up is Hirayasumi, a manga that I didn't know I really desperately needed until I read it. Now for reasons I'm not going to get into, last year sucked, and I was struggling to just find any motivation to do anything, much less read manga. And I picked up this because I've always been interested in reading the works of Keiko Shinzo, and I didn't want to pass up on the opportunity of supporting a creator that I had really been interested in for some time. By the end of the first volume, I was just in awe of how amazing it was. It's one of those manga that I finish and it sits with me for a few days, and I just want to read it again, and I desperately wish I could read it again for the first time. So much happens in just this first volume. There's deaths, there's the struggle of fitting in a new environment, there's lovesickness, yet he does it in a way that not only feels light and breezy, but is easily digestible. And I think what immediately grabbed me about Hirayasumi was how I saw a lot of myself in the main character Hiroto, especially with Hiroto's own kind of struggles with feeling very behind in life, because there are points in my life where I'm sitting down and I'm like, I'm not quite where I want to be yet. Especially with a scene where Hiroto meets up with an old friend of his who's married and he's just about to have a baby, and they're both like, oh, I wish I could be in your life. No, I wish I could be your life. And the number of times I've had those exact same thoughts in my own life, I think this is a manga that I really needed, and I wish I knew I needed it and read it sooner. Next up, I'm sure none of you would have guessed this, is Flashpoint by Imai Arata, a manga that I am absolutely biased and thinking is one of my favorite manga of last year, but so be it. Now, I do plan on doing a full review of this in a separate video, so I won't go too much into my thoughts on it and kind of what it's about. The TLDR of what it's about, though, imagine the Rizzler filming a TikTok in the background of the JFK assassination, and then it goes viral, and then everybody sees the Rizzler as some sort of political revolutionary. That's more or less what Flashpoint is about. Just throwing some trips to Family Mart, a Deer Park, and a Shinzo Abe hot air balloon for good measure. And look, not to brag or anything, but also kind of to brag. That's my name in the back there. Least important reason to pick this manga, if you want to support the world's most underground but soon-to-be most famous mangaka, Imai Arata, just definitely pick this up. You're supporting a great author, and you're supporting a fantastic publisher. And then finally, my favorite manga of 2024 is none other than Yuki Ikeda's Thunder 3. The best way I can describe this manga is imagine someone was cruel enough to take the characters of Doraemon and thrust them into the world of Gantz for fun. Now, I had no hopes of this manga ever getting an English release. I picked up the Japanese volume 1 when I was in Japan, but my god, is this manga good. Now, I didn't love this just because I like Doraemon, and I absolutely love Gantz. It's one of my top 10 manga of all time, but because the idea of the two concepts fitting together sounds insane, but works perfectly. Like taking the character design style of Doraemon and then putting them against the backdrop of something that Hiroya Oku would draw for Gantz or Inuyashiki or even Gigant. Just this highly detailed, hyper-realistic style of background and human character doesn't sound like it'll work, but it's just really awesome. And it's not just like the concept and the art and everything like that that's making me fanboy about this manga. Like there is an element of mystery that makes me think like, what the fuck is going on? In the best way possible. The concept is these three boys live in a world that looks like Doraemon, and they're your three stereotypical average kids. Like they like video games, they like hanging out, they're getting interested in boobies, and they find what they think is a porn DVD, but when they put it in, it's just this highly detailed world, and one of the character's little sisters goes through the TV into this world, and they have to go save her. Only they find it's similar to their world, but just way more detailed, highly realistic, and also has aliens. I am gonna make a separate video on reviewing this. If you haven't picked this up yet, please, please, please go pick this up because it's just awesome. There's really no, I'm sorry, I've said it's just fucking awesome like 20 times. There's no other way to put it. It's just like the perfect manga. Anyways, folks, that is it for today's video. That is my favorite and least favorite manga of 2024. Have you read anything that I've shown you here today? If you did, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And also let me know what your favorite manga or even your least favorite manga of last year was as well. While you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, yada yada. You guys know the drill by now. And if you don't, there's buttons down there. Push them, see what happens. Maybe you'll see more of me. But until next time, folks, what the fuck was that? But until next time, folks, happy reading.